Hello and welcome back to the movies made us do it. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was gonna say this episode could also be called Two Old Fucks Try to Remember a Movie They Watched a Few Days Ago, because
Yeah.
I watched it on Thursday, planning for us to review it on Friday, and then things happened, and then you were busy, and then I was busy, and it was like, oh shit. So now I have seen Escape from New York a billion times in my life, right? But I know what these things go like. So when did you first see Escape from New York?
So I'm thinking it was a TV job.
Okay.
And one thing I do remember is that I had no idea who Kurt Russell was at the time.
Oh, dude.
And I was watching it for Lee Van Cleef.
Oh, okay. Who is not in it that much. So, well, yeah, actually, it's kind of. He pops up.
But he's not really a star or anything, is he? He's just basically, one of the
Do you know what I didn't?
Many characters in it.
What I didn't know about Lee Van Cleef in this movie is that he just had knee surgery.
Yeah, his knee was fucked. He couldn't concentrate on his lines at all.
No, he said that the scene with him and Snake walking down the corridor talking is like the hardest scene he's ever done in his entire career, because he was in so much pain and tried to remember lines and walked like he's not injured, and like it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a different generation of actor.
It really is. I thought, I mean, at the time I was like, okay, so I was looking at Russell and I was like, hey, that's the guy who was the kiddie in the computer wore tennis shoes. I recognise that kid. And of course, that then was like, that's it, Kurt Russell. This movie just made me fall in love with Kurt Russell, and I've kind of loved almost anything he's been in since.
I agree. I mean, even when he's Santa, I'm down.
I'd love those movies.
They're so good.
They're actually really good.
They're really good movies. B, he's actually a really lovable Santa. But C, he also feels like he could kill someone at any moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slightly sort of
it's just got that edge.
Dangerous. It's a dangerous Santa. Don't be bad, because he might just punch you.
Yeah. So I first saw it. I think, like you, I think my dad actually owned it on VHS. Which is the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big Jack Burton fan, and so am I. But for me, Snake is the coolest character that he played.
It's so hard because one of my favorite horror movie is The Thing, and I love it as well. So he just played these like such iconic characters.
He really did. I mean, three of the most iconic.
Even in the last few years. I mean, it's going back a few more years now, but Stuntman Mike was iconic.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the character, but the Hateful Eight, his character in the Hateful Eight was fucking iconic.
Absolutely.
So he's still pulling out these amazing fucking characters.
Yeah, absolutely he is.
And Snake is all him as well. I mean, it's.
Oh man!
I don't think there was much of a character in the original script.
It's the coolest.
He added all the eye patch and the squinting and just the way he sort of walks around
and the whispering, awesome. Like he just barely speaks.
Yeah.
I absolutely love him. So I will. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about LA a bit as we watch this.
Yeah.
LA's a fucking train wreck.
I was going to watch it again for the movie, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I do want to watch it again, and I know it's terrible. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I know.
I just don't either. It's like one of those sort of things, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered.
But at the same time, it's for the love of Snake,
Yeah. And again, it's got an amazing cast. It's got...
oh my god, it's got an incredible cast.
Fonda and Buscemi and Pam Grier. It's got a
Bruce Campbell.
Cast. Yeah, Bruce Campbell playing the lunatic surgeon.
Yeah.
It's got a great cast. It's just such a terrible movie.
It really is. But still, again,
there's two scenes that always stand out, and that's
surfing.
The surfing, because it's so fucking.
And the hologram for me.
Oh, it's the
we need to up the ante on the other movie and do something way over the top and stupid.
Yeah, it's the basketball scene, I think.
God, yeah, the basketball scene.
Which is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the actual few genuinely good bits in that movie.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. we probably don't need to point out how amazing the music is throughout this entire thing. But
I actually think this is my favourite Carpenter soundtrack.
I agree. And I was watching this movie and I was thinking, is that controversial to think? Because I was watching it and I was like, do you know what? That theme is amazing.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that I've listened to quite a lot over the years, like, separate from the movie.
Mm.
And I think Halloween is more iconic.
For sure.
Because it's of everything that's attached to it. But this, I think, is just, there's just something about this tune that's amazing. The main theme is just such a great tune in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's dystopian 1997. 1997 used to be the date when you picked that year when shit happens. Shit is bad in 1997. It's like Skynet or it's Escape from New York. I don't know why 97.
I wondered if that's probably why they did that.
Maybe it was. Yeah, I don't know.
This.
It might be. Maybe it was.
I think some of those things as well that, like, at the time, there's certain dates that we've been waiting for to pass.
Yes.
So we had that, and then we had Space 1999.
Yep.
And then we were waiting for 2015 to turn up for Back to the Future.
Yeah, we've come and gone now. We've done Blade Runner.
Exactly.
We've done everything now.
Blade Runner's gone. Is I think it's one of those things about sci-fi movies. Is just do not fucking put a date on your sci-fi movie. If you're doing
future.
Exactly.
That's what you
just
should put.
Sometime in the future. Just be vague about it.
I don't mind. It's an alternate universe.
Yeah, of course.
It's cool.
An alternate 97 that still has the towers in.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. I mean,
Well, no, actually, it was after the 97, wasn't it? So it would have still had the towers at 97.
It would have been, but New York wasn't a prison when the towers fell.
No, definitely not.
So World War III is kind of coming to an end, and United States and Soviet Union have basically just things have been bad. They've both suffered heavy losses on both sides, and they're looking to have a peaceful resolution. And they have turned the island of Manhattan into a maximum security prison, I think back in 88, because basically they say that crime increased by 400% after a gas attack by the Soviets, I think, at the start of the war, and New York was like the worst hit. So I think New York was pretty much wiped out, and then they were like, well, we've got this area, and we've got 400% crime.
Yeah.
Let's just build a
wall it off.
Yeah, so they surround Manhattan Island in a 50-foot wall containing everyone inside. And basically everyone in there is sentenced to actual life in prison, not like 25 years or whatever. It's the rest of your life. And I believe it says once you're in, you never come out.
Yeah.
And basically there are no guards. Well, there are guards. There's guards on the wall.
There are guards at the bridges, and
there's no guards in the prison of Manhattan. You basically live your life there with the rest of the criminals.
Yeah.
Forever.
And what appear to be mutants and all sorts.
Oh yeah, there's some weird things going on in Manhattan. So yeah, we see this kind of opens on the skyline of Manhattan.
And the voiceover, of course, is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Is it? I never knew that. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a thing I didn't know.
And have you seen the original opening as well?
Maybe.
They've got it's on YouTube. I actually found it on YouTube. It's basically how they capture Snake.
No.
It starts with him basically robbing the bank.
Oh, I've not seen that. I'm going to watch that after this.
Yeah, it's once you watched it, you think, well, actually, they did. I'm glad they actually took it away because he didn't really need it.
For me, and it's one of the things
turning up in chains, to be honest.
Absolutely. So it's one of the things I was going to get to when we get to that scene. But one of the things I love about this movie is that we hear about his exploits, but we don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's far better, personally.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, I think they would. Well, many points, I think they were trying to get a prequel done where they would show.
I don't need to see it. I don't need it.
You know what he talks about later when he meets Brain, about him and what did he say? Fresno Bob.
Fresno Bob, yeah.
but they just never got. I guess the funding and the
I mean, they've been trying to do escape movies forever. I mean, Escape.
Yep.
Wasn't it like Escape from the Earth was the last one they were going to do? And
so there's been a number of them. They were trying to get an anime series done at one point as well.
Right. Yeah.
Which would have been cool. But yeah, they just never really.
No, it just wasn't to be. But
if Escape from LA is anything to go by, maybe it is a probably good idea that they didn't.
It may well be a good idea, yeah. But we see Manhattan, and we see two men in a makeshift raft. They're trying to get away from the island, but they get blown to pieces by a gunship. And then we follow that gunship back to Liberty Island, and we see that it's basically.
He gives them a warning. He
Oh no, they are warned.
Plenty of time to turn round.
They do, yeah. I guess they're that desperate.
Yeah.
That they're going to go anyway. So back on Liberty Island, we see that basically this is the command center is on Liberty Island, and we've got the police force there, and they've picked up a plane. A plane flies over, and it amazes me that it didn't get immediately shot down, but they don't shoot it down. It seems like they're like, well, it's going in, so fuck it. If they want to go in, they can go in. They're not coming back out. If they come back out, we'll shoot them down, but we'll let them in. So they don't know what this plane is. It's a plane, and they're like, it's just an unidentified passenger plane flying over. Like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, it's got the designation David 14, is it?
David 14, that's right, but they don't have that in any of their records, do they?
No.
They check the computers and they're like, David 14 doesn't exist. Like, what is this? But they get Bob Hulk, Lee Van Cleef, to come to the island, or he's on island. I guess he turns up on site, and
I think he's the warden, isn't he? Basically,
he's the warden, and he speaks to the chief of security, and they're like, David 14 must be code for something. Like this must be an important thing. Whatever this plane is. The fact that we don't have it probably means that it's really important, whatever it is. And then, of course, they get the hijackers on the line as they discover that it is Air Force One. And it's been hijacked by a member of some revolutionary organization. I don't remember what they call themselves.
It's the National Liberation Front of America.
Right, that's it, yeah. So they say that, he's dead. He's dead, assholes. We're going to kill him. And meanwhile, on the plane, Donald Pleasance, who is amazing as the president in this movie.
Yeah.
He is, he's on the plane, and obviously this is the distant future of 1997. So there's this device called the pod, which is like an escape pod.
Yeah.
And,
a big egg.
A big egg. And Donald Pleasance, the unnamed president, seals himself in the pod as the plane goes down and crashes into New York. So Bob Hulk then assembles a team as fast as they can. They're like, they send like a whole platoon of soldiers in a fleet of helicopters. They head over, but when they get there, they find the escape pod is empty. And so they're now aware the president must have been taken hostage.
They don't find the escape pod because
it's crashed. They find it.
Yeah, no, Snake finds it later. I don't think they.
No, they do as well. They find it because that's the whole reason they get Snake.
I thought what's his face turned up the guy turns up before they actually get to the pod. And says
no, I think they find the pod and then he turns up with the finger.
Right. Okay.
So this guy though.
I absolutely.
He's terrifying. He used to scare me as a kid.
Romero, he's brilliant, isn't he?
I used to actually be scared of him.
Again, the hair, the teeth, they're all he came up with those.
It's amazing.
And I love the way he struts in.
Oh, he just knows. He's like, he's like, all of your troops can do nothing to me.
Yeah,
like
he's this fucking crazy cockerel coming.
He's amazing.
He's like Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, isn't he? He's like,
yeah, he kind of is actually. Yeah.
Got sort of this weird Puck thing going on.
Yeah.
I love he says that they basically all got to fuck off.
Yeah, he's like, you've got 30 seconds, and like Bob Hulk's like trying to talk to him, and Romero's just like 29, 28, 27, 26, and it's like, oh shit, okay, like you know, don't they say like if you try and rescue him, he's dead. If you come in, he's dead. If you stay, he's dead. Like whatever you do, he's dead. Leave. So Hulk then, you know, basically they're like, okay, fine. They run back to the helicopters, take off as fast as they can, and they basically speak to the vice president, don't they? Hulk speaks to the vice president, and they get authorization for some kind of rescue attempt. And Bob Hulk accepts it. And to deal with this problem, they bring in Snake, who is a prisoner who I think they were about to send to New York anyway, right?
He's literally just about to go in.
But he has a history. He's a special forces soldier turned armed robber.
Yeah.
And he has a massive like war medals galore. The guy is a war hero.
Yeah.
And very capable.
He was supposed to have taken this glider over into Moscow, isn't it?
Yes.
Or this mission that they never really go into details about.
But again, I love that. We never see it. We just hear about his exploits. And I love that this movie kind of plays with that kind of thing as well, when everyone's like, everyone knows who Snake Plissken is. He is the most famous. You can imagine, because it's this kind of dystopia, you can imagine that they would have had like him on like all of the fucking posters everywhere, and like you know, they would have bigged him up as this war icon, who is now himself an armed robber. So that, you know, the government probably went from absolutely loving him and plastering him all over, you know, all the propaganda, to now they're like, you fuck, like we made you into this icon, and then then you turned against us. So he brings Snake into the office, and I love, like, Snake's like immediately like, well, I can have one of those cigarettes, and he tries to explain, like, Hulk tries to explain what's going on, and Snake just does not give a fuck.
No.
I love when Hulk's like, do you know who the president is? And Snake's like, an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, we need a solution to this, and Plissken, Snake Plissken's just like, get a new president.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Simple enough.
Yeah. And of course he keeps telling him to call him Snake, is the other thing, because he keeps calling him Plissken, which is his actual name, but he's call me Snake. Yeah, he just whispers everything he says. So the offer is, and I think Hulk knows, he's like, Plissken's fucking with me, but he's going in New York regardless. So like, it's in his best interest. He'll probably accept this anyway. So the deal is, if he doesn't do this, he lives in New York for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
If, however, he can go in, rescue the president, and retrieve a cassette tape, which has really vital information about nuclear fusion, and it's some speech that was going to be given at a conference, and it's time sensitive because it has to be given within 24. It's like the thing is in 24 hours, right? This peace conference. So it has to be the president needs to be rescued, and the tape needs to be brought back within 24 hours, and he will get a full pardon. Because basically, this international summit's going to be taking place in 24 hours. Snake basically only agrees because he's like, well, if I don't, I'm going in anyway. Like, either way, I might as well, I guess. And then Snake does even try to get him to like sign the papers beforehand, and he's like, I'm not a moron. Like,
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he's then taken down to the kind of lab. They show him all of his gear. But while he's there, they inject him with a microscopic explosive.
Yeah, and I like the way the surgeon's called Cronenberg as well.
Yeah, that was not lost on me.
Yeah, not a coincidence.
No.
I'm sure.
So yeah, he's injected with these explosives, and they will blow up in 24 hours. So I think basically that I think they'll detonate once they've dissolved, and they kind of they're dissolving, and in 24 hours, which is like, because it's crazy, because it's literally timed to the second. So it's like the most amazing thing ever. And And he gets the coolest watch in the world, which you can buy.
Oh my
it
God.
costs like 250 quid, but if I had money, I would buy one. You can actually get a watch that timer.
I do love the actual overall design of the things, like the watch and the president's tracker.
Yeah.
It's like, it's huge. It's like the you couldn't find something a little more subtle that makes
I know.
Like the first thing that the lunatics take off the president when he lands. It's like
later on, Bob Hulk is going to say to one of his men that the tracker that Snake has, is got a secret catch that the thugs won't know about. But it's really obvious. It's like, I would have found that in 5 seconds.
Little head on it that flips down and a big red button. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of something out of 60s Batman.
It kind of does. Yeah,
Batman look about it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically the explosives can be diffused within. I think it's like. They need to do it 15 minutes before they go off. So his timer's kind of set to that. And basically they've said, you're not going to... Hulk even says to him, because he kind of grabs the scientist, and Hulk says, like, I knew you were planning on turning that goddamn glider around and flying back the other way. Yeah. So that's not happening. So if he returns the tape, then he will get... And the president, he'll get neutralized with X-rays. And basically Snake promises he's going to kill Hulk when he returns.
Yeah.
So
basically he gets that the reason he got the other reason that he gets the job is because his experience with flying because
it's the same model of thing he flew over the USSR, isn't it? To Leningrad.
Gulf Fire or something.
Gulf Fire glider. Yeah.
Yeah. And he can basically land it in a very small area, which basically means he can land it on top of the
trade centers.
Trade center, one of the tops of the trade center, because they've still got a working lift on it.
Which, by the way, later in this movie, Snake is such a badass. He runs up the stairs all the way to the top of the World Trade Center, which must have taken forever. I mean, I don't know how many floors that is. A lot of floors.
I don't know how many floors the World Trade Center had, but it's a fucking big buildings.
A lot, yeah. The glider's pulled by another plane, isn't it? It's like pulled up into the air, and then he's sent off gliding across. Now he gets to Manhattan Island, and he's flying at like below. Skyscraper height. He's like flying through the buildings, and Hulk is like, Pliskin, what's going on? Pliskin, what's going on? And it's like, dude, the guy's trying to concentrate. This is really dangerous. Like, this is insane.
He's like, flying here. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Doesn't he say, like, I'm playing with myself? What do you think? I'm going in.
Yeah. And that again, the model for New York is fucking amazing.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Such a great one. The only thing I think when you get the initial shot of the model at the beginning, the only thing I think that spoils it is I think it's the water.
Yeah.
I think the water's just slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it.
It's the scale, isn't it? It's a scale issue.
Just slightly off, which is a shame. But it's an amazing fucking model, an amazing.
It's incredible.
And I love the on his console on the glider, he's got this sort of like the vector graphics.
Yeah.
For the city as he's flying through.
Yeah.
That's actually the model just with tape on it.
Oh really? I didn't know that either. That's amazing.
They put tape on the edge of the models or on the edge of the buildings and things, and they put grids down. And all they did was they shone light on the tape and turn the lights off, shine the light on the tape, and then that's how they did the vector graphics.
That's really cool. Yeah, it worked.
It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like a 3D model. It's really good.
Yeah.
Wireframe 3D.
Yeah.
So he manages to land on the World Trade Center, and it's pretty hairy. He almost falls off.
Almost goes off the edge, fires off the anchor to sort of stop them, and it just manages to stop at the end.
Yes, yeah. And then he makes his way down to ground level.
Yeah, he does something. He says that he can't take off from there one point, and then later on they try to, and you think, well, okay, but you've already said that he didn't do that, but I don't know whether that's just me remembering it wrong or.
No, I think he did say that it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
But maybe he was just saying that. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess Snake's a pretty good pilot, so maybe he can. But he makes his way down, and almost immediately comes across the plane wreckage still on fire.
Yeah.
And the escape pod, but obviously President ain't there. So Snake's tracking the life monitor, and he follows it to this old abandoned theater. And in the basement, he finds a creepy old man, and also comes across people like just people are hideous. I mean, they're all criminals, so there's horrible things going on in rooms, and Snake just kind of looks over and he's like, "That's not my problem." just keeps walking.
The whole question there's the whole question of whether they are actually just criminals or just people that
or people that went against the government. Potentially.
Yeah, but, I mean, there were probably a high number of people
lived there
that just lived there.
Yeah,
just minding their own business. Meanwhile, they made it a prison while you were living there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, he finds this.
There's a bit before he goes to the cinema or the theater. And he comes across that girl in the building, because I think we get the crazies before that, don't we?
I thought the crazies was after this, because I thought he meets Cabby briefly here, and then he goes wandering and finds the crazies.
I think you're right.
And then Cabby comes back, doesn't he, to get him?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think. See, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
we watched this too many days ago. I've already forgotten everything. But yeah, so he tracks the wrist thing, and he finds this old guy who tries ambushing him, and it doesn't go well because he's Snake Plissken. He just like immediately knocks out the other guys and just pulls the gun on him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, buddy."
And that I love that dude. The dude that's actually got the tracker says, "I'm the president," and it's like that dude. He's like list of credits must just be drunken
man. Yes,
in sort of
in everything,
basically almost every movie.
Yep.
I mean, he's even in Back to the Future, isn't he?
He is. He's in so many things. Like, hey, you can play. I think is he in the Terminator as well? I think he is.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, always just some drunk old dude. So yeah, he briefly meets Cabby, who is in the theater, and he sees Snake, and he immediately knows who he is. He's like, "Oh my god, that's Snake Plissken." And to be fair, Snake, he's got an eye patch, he's got hair, he's quite a noticeable. He stands out for sure. So he says, I'm Cabby, and you're Snake Plissken, and he absolutely loves Snake. And is this where we get the running joke if they thought he was dead?
I think it's the first one where I thought you were dead.
Yeah. So it's a running joke during this film is that everyone thought that Snake died, which I'm guessing is due to the propaganda. Again,
yeah,
they've not they won't allow him to say they won't say like, oh, he robbed the bank or anything. They're like, he's dead.
I think he was supposed to have died after the job that killed Fresno Bob.
Yes, yeah. I think probably the first job they tried to pull off. They were like, yeah, he got killed because he was a traitor. So Cabby offers
the joke about I thought you were dead. That's actually from the John Wayne film Big Jake.
Oh, okay.
Is it basically what happens to Big Jake in that movie all the time? Is people keep saying, "I thought you were dead."
Right. Yeah. So they then Snake goes off wandering, walking through the streets, and then we get the crazies, which is this this crazy gang of like subterranean people who come up from the sewers. I guess they all live in the sewers, and at night, which by the way, it's permanently night in this movie.
You do get the shot later on where they land the helicopter in.
Oh, that's true.
Where it's supposed to be oh fuck's sake, Central Park.
Central Park, yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually LA.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about this thing. It's actually was all filmed in St. Louis, because obviously,
because good luck finding New York empty. Yeah.
Well, New York at the time was one of the worst crime-ridden hellholes in America at the time, but it was going to be way too expensive to film there. Yeah. And luckily enough, I mean, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, St. Louis had a massive fire years before. Yeah. So there was whole blocks completely destroyed. And the same with the bridge. The bridge they go off at the end. The bridge they bought for $1 from the government. And then but it was in such a bad state of repair that basically the crew were like almost falling through it.
Yeah.
They had to be careful of how much weight they put on it with the crew and
the gear and
and eventually, basically, so that to save themselves from having to pay for it, they sold it back to the government for $1 after the end of the movie.
Amazing. So these crazies, this gang starts coming up, and there's like just hundreds of them. So Snake wisely runs and he finds this abandoned diner, shoots a couple of them outside, and then he meets this young woman who
she's got no name, she's just called Girl in the Chock full of Nuts.
That's the name of it, Chock full of Nuts Diner. So she recognizes him as Snake as well, and she realizes, she's like, hey, like, what are you doing here? And he says, like, I'm here to find the president. And she's like, hey, when you find the president, you're taking him out, right? And Snake's like, yep.
And because she's also surprised that he's got a gun as well.
Yeah, I guess that's really rare at this point, you would have thought, right? Because, I mean, I would imagine, after, it's been 88 since he's been a prison. I'm guessing they've not brought any new guns in. So, I mean, I'm guessing someone's making bullets and stuff within New York, you would imagine.
I imagine someone like the Duke's probably got.
That's the thing. You're probably like a high tier of bad guy to have guns.
Exactly, yeah.
You're an end of level boss.
Higher tier henchman for them.
Yes, yeah. So she asks, if he can take her with him. But then the crazies start attacking the diner. He starts kind of shooting out the windows, but then they break through the ground. They grab the woman. Snake does try and help her.
Yeah,
he does. He's not a total asshole. No. But there's no way. There's just swarms of these guys.
She was not getting saved.
Yeah. So Snake has to run for it. He's climbing across a wall, and I think that's when he breaks his radio and stuff, doesn't he? So he's kind of now he's lost.
It dropped.
Yeah. So he's got this tracker that will work for a brief amount of time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something. Other than that, he can't contact them now. But then luckily, Cabby shows up in his taxi, and he tells Snake to get in, and then he starts throwing Molotov cocktails, which obviously scares the crazies off because they're nocturnal, scared of fire.
Yeah. So and the woman in the diner, that was Susan Hubley, who was actually Russell's wife at the time.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You're full of facts I didn't know today. This is great. So Snake demands to know where the president's being held. I love it. Cabby's just rescued him, and Snake immediately points a gun at his head, and he's like, just tell me where the bloody president is, and Cabby's like,
Yeah, everybody knows where he is.
Yeah, he's like, everybody knows the Duke's got him.
Duke's got him. A number one.
Yeah, the Duke of New York. So Cabby basically says, hey, Brain, who is like, he's literally that. He is the brains of the operation.
He was makes the petrol, doesn't he? He basically.
Yes, he makes the petrol for the Duke's cars and all of that stuff. So he's presumably only alive because of that, because you can tell everyone in this movie absolutely fucking hates Brain. He basically.
But you do get the feeling they hate him for a reason. He's a slimy.
Oh yeah, he's a slimy prick, but they need him basically.
Which is all the more sort of like weird that how amazingly loyal Maggie is to him.
Yeah, at one point they do say that Maggie is only there because the Duke gave her to him.
Yeah.
But she does clearly care for him.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, we'll see that she does love him. despite how, they seem to have that kind of relationship where they just argue all the time. But
yeah,
she does clearly love him.
It's a love-hate thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose it's one of those like what they call it, Stockholm-y things. She's just
maybe
put in the situation, and now that's just the way it is, I suppose.
Yeah. So so Cabby takes him to meet Brain.
We also set up here as well that Cabby has a large collection of tapes.
He does indeed, including one particular song on repeat for an entire tape. We'll come back to that. You can probably tell where it's going already, but so they head to Brain's kind of complex. He's got like this kind of fortress that he's built.
It's in the central library or something like that.
It's somewhere like that. It's somewhere with big doors, anyway. That's for sure. And of course, as soon as he's introduced, Snake realizes that Brain is Harold Hellman.
That really cool thing with the door. That Maggie comes to the door first.
Yes, another "I thought you were dead" moment.
And I love Maggie. Basically looks like, as my mother-in-law would say, she looks like the prow of a ship. she comes out, looking pretty fine.
Yeah.
Pretty good for this place. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, considering you're in crime-ridden 400% crime New York.
And again, there's a lovely little detail in Maggie's character that you don't. I only, I've read about. You don't really know. She's got these tin fingernails. She's got metal fingernails.
Oh, right.
That her character was supposed to use to kill people.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, damn, that would have been really cool if
she's already pretty badass in this movie, but that would have made her amazing.
I'd really wanted to see her take someone down with these nails.
Yeah. So they walk through it talking, and obviously we get the, I thought you were dead thing. And then they finally meet Brain, and like I said, Snake immediately recognizes him as Harold Hellman.
Yep.
Who is the guy who betrayed Snake.
He ditched him.
Ditched them, basically, yeah.
He was I'm guessing he was supposed to be the getaway driver or whatever, because he was supposed to wait for them, and they were supposed to be. I guess he was supposed to be their pickup, but when they got there, he fucked off, and he says he basically hints that they did something terrible to poor old Fresno Bob.
Yeah.
And
again, we don't see it.
No.
Tell, don't show.
It doesn't sound like he got a good.
No, I don't think he had a good time. Either. No. So yeah, presumably this is why, or shortly after this is how Brain got caught. Of course, Brain is played by Harry Dean Stanton, and is amazing as this sleazy twat of a man, weaselly asshole. He's great in everything, and quite broad range of roles as well when you look back on it. But so
on a completely, irrelevant to the movie thing, but both Borgnine, Van Cleef, and Harry Dean Stanton were all in the Navy in the Second World War.
Yeah, I guess they're probably that age.
Yeah, and I didn't know it either that Donald Pleasance was I think he was a Lancaster radioman.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
He got shot down. He was in Stalag Luft 1.
Wow. I did not know that.
So when he came to doing The Great Escape, he must have had some
experience. Yeah. God, that would be pretty harrowing. I'm not sure I'd want to do that. I'd be like, I don't really want to be reminded of that, thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Snake puts a gun, to Brain's face and is like, tell me what the hell's going on.
I love the way he's sat in that big sort of armchair, and he puts his leg on it and tilts him back.
Yeah.
He's just there with his gun in his face.
He's right in his face. And of course, Brain tells him that the Duke of New York, he's like the leader, the most powerful gang leader of the city. He's got the president, and he is planning an escape across the 69th Street Bridge with the president as kind of a hostage.
Someone apparently had got out of that bridge and had basically made a map of the.
They made a map, but then they died, so it kind of
that's what I like.
It's like, well, I'm not sure how accurate this map is, then, guys.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he got shot rather than blown up by a mine.
I think they said it. I think he got the guards killed him when he got to the other side. I think.
Yeah. So
does make you think. Well, how the hell did they get the fucking map back?
Do you know what though? As well, if I was in charge, if I was Lee Van Cleef, I'd be like, well, guys, go and move the mines.
Yeah.
They're not staying in the same place because someone's done that now. We need to do something there, chuck a few more out there. But yeah, so that's the plan. Now, of course, as you said, it's mined, but Brain has a map based on this guy who made it all the way and then got shot, like you said. So they're basically planning to. They've got the map for the mines, and then they've got the president as a human shield when they get to the other side. That's the plan. So the Duke, though, when they hear the Duke arriving in a large convoy.
Do they actually say what he's doing? He's
coming to get the plans for the land mine.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
The diagram for the bridge. I think that's what he's coming for, because Brain says, "Oh, he's here to get the diagram," and basically Snake says, "Right, well, we're going to the Duke's compound while he's here."
Yeah.
Effectively, and he obviously forces Brain. Maggie comes along to take them to the Duke's compound. And they sneakily steal one of the Duke's cars, and they go down.
Those guys really
they are crap at their job.
They are terrible.
It's like the guards from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Hey,
I'll stay here, and you.
yeah. So yeah, they steal the car, and to escape, Brain suggests that they go along Broadway.
It's like clearly the stupidest decision that he made.
Yeah.
Maggie's like, why would you go along Broadway? Let's not go along Broadway. Yeah, go along Broadway. He's like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good plan, but yeah. So they head down Broadway, and I think they're called the Skulls. They're this gang of just. I mean, like all of these gangs. Like you've got the high level gang, which is like the Duke of New York's gang.
Yeah.
But then beneath them, they all seem to be like these feral, crazy people.
Yeah, it was again, it's another thing that didn't quite come off. But
is it because of the gas attack or something?
Well,
it's like made people.
He wanted initially. I think he did make lots of different gangs.
Yeah,
there was supposed to be whole groups of like
the Warriors.
Warriors, yeah, exactly like the Warriors. But because of time and things and stuff that they didn't end up putting them in, and there's only one of the other proper gangs you get to see later on, which is only briefly, which is the Redskins,
right?
When they're on top of the
Trade Center
tower again, later on, and it's a very brief thing, but I think they were supposed to have more,
that's interesting.
Establish them in that.
It does feel very the Warriors, this movie, actually.
Yeah, I think it's one of the influences. I mean, because originally, the script was written years before. Nobody wanted to do it because they said it was too sort of bleak, and nobody wanted to see the sort of the bleak thing. And Carpenter was influenced by the whole Watergate stuff and his distrust of authority, and Vietnam was still really fresh.
Yeah,
still going on in certain things, and he just this eventually, because he was supposed to do what was it, the Philadelphia experiment, I think it was.
Right.
He was supposed to do that, and
I'm glad he didn't.
He didn't want to, I don't think, they basically said, well, you've got to do something, so he brought this back up, and they basically agreed to do it.
Yeah. So the Skulls are like this gang on Broadway, and they're just mental. They start throwing bricks and arrows and all sorts, and you get to see why these cars are so well armored. They're all kind of like they're all armored up as best they can be, so they just about. I mean, they almost kind of die here, but they just about make it through.
The funny thing is they get to a fuck off great barricade at the end of the street.
Yeah,
And again, you think you're called Brain, and you told them to come this way, and yet there's a fuck off great barricade at the end of the street. That's not a barricade that just went up, is it?
No, that's been there a while. And even like Maggie's like Broadway, like you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
And it's
reverses the car into it, doesn't he? Which again, that seemed way too easy.
Yeah, I mean they were lucky. They don't know what that was made of.
Comes straight out.
Yeah. But they make it to the Duke's compound, and they manage to find the president in an old railway car.
Yeah.
But he's then immediately betrayed by Brain.
Yeah,
the asshole.
I mean, again, you get that scene where the Brain comes up to them sort of and starts talking to them, and you can see how, like you said, everybody hates him.
Oh yeah, all of the gang members, even the lower gang members.
Brain is like, oh, I'm here to talk. I'm supposed to be here.
Someone,
like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And for you can see that for someone that the Duke needs.
Yeah.
And the Duke they need him, but even at the lowest level of this gang, he has no respect.
Yeah.
No one respects him. They're just like, fuck off, Brain. Like but yeah, so he's betrayed.
Yeah, Snake does manage to get in. He gets to the president.
He gets to the president. Yeah.
He also he kills one dude, and the other guy manages to get a crossbow bolt off.
Yeah,
which hits him in the leg.
Hits him in the leg. Yeah, so he's got a limp for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's then captured by the Duke of New York, played by Isaac Hayes, who I didn't realize. I assumed it was part of the script, but apparently Isaac Hayes came up with the idea for the facial tick.
Yeah, the tick. Whenever with him,
which for me sounds weird, but it made him so iconic to me. Like I've got such strong memories of Isaac Hayes playing the Duke when I was a kid. It was like one of those most iconic villains, and I think the tick has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
I can't explain why, but it just it really adds something to that character.
I love his car as well. He's got these chandeliers as headlights.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, but it's so cool.
He's got a disco ball hanging from where the mirror should be, and it's brilliant.
It is incredible. Like, dude, your battery must be permanently flat, but I guess you've got people that will charge it for you. I don't know.
I expect so, yeah.
Yeah. So Snake's knocked out, and you get the kind of the Duke saying like, "So you're Snake Plissken," and they like punch him out like, "I thought you were dead."
Yeah.
The next day, Snake's obviously been taken prisoner, and their plan is to kind of have this show. They're gonna make him fight, basically get killed by Ox Baker. He's forced into this kind of gladiatorial fight, and meanwhile, Brain and Maggie are with the Duke's men and Romero.
Mm-hmm.
And Brain says, well, they're going side by side, aren't they, these things? So we've got the fight going on.
Yeah.
And we also have Brain and Maggie trying to trick Romero into letting them see the president. Now, Brain is quite smart here. He's like, the Duke wants me to go and make sure because he might have cyanide on him. He might be planning to kill himself.
Yeah. He also figures out something else as well, which comes up later. But Romero's wearing Cabby's hat.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah. Sorry, we did forget. Actually, so we forgot the gun scene where they're shooting at the president and they find the tape.
Yeah.
That happens here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the president's tied up tied up against a wall, and the Duke is shooting at him, and he makes him say, "You are the Duke. You are a number one."
Number one is with he's using Snake's
gun.
Snake's Ingram.
Yeah. And
fucking weird. It's such a weirdly set up Ingram that is. It's got
I love it.
Fuck off, great silencer. And the scope is attached to the silencer.
I know, it's bizarre, but I kind of love it anyway. You know, it's like nonsense, but it's iconic.
Yeah.
So he actually hits the briefcase, and stuff falls out, and then Romero gets up and picks up the tape. So now the tape is separated from the president. So we have another problem. But yeah, so Snake is fighting in the ring against. I don't think he's got a name, has he? I know he's Ox Baker, but I don't know who.
So no.
But he's just, it's Ox Baker. He's a massive dude.
Yeah.
And they're having this big old
Slag.
fight.
He's called Slag.
Oh, Slag. Okay.
Yeah.
They're having this big fight. Starts off with just fists, and then quite quickly it's then spiked baseball bats and shields. Yeah.
Dustbin lid shields.
Yeah.
Apparently he was, because this was like Ox's first movie,
right?
And of course he didn't know how to sort of pull his blows or anything,
no,
so he
bet.
Full on. And
well, when Snake gets thrown, he really does get thrown.
Yeah, well, they filmed it over a couple of days, and Russell says his arms were fucking killing him because he was just swinging this fucking bat for days.
Yeah.
And for hours, and apparently the Ox kept sort of knocking him down and actually hurting him, and eventually he said to him, "Look, fucking dial it back a bit," and apparently to make his point, he hit him in the nuts with the bat.
Damn. And
apparently Ox got the message.
Yeah, I imagine you would. I imagine you would.
And even worse, so they fight, and we get to the end, and Snake knocks him down, and then he
hits him in the head with
hits him in the back of the head with the
spiked club.
Spiked bat. That stunt.
I'm assuming that was done in reverse, right?
No.
Was it not?
It's the real spiked club.
Right.
And he had a pad on the back of his neck.
Oh my god, that's mental.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked, but that's insane.
Yeah, that's why that fucking looks so good, because
it looks amazing. I was rewatching it. I was like,
the back of the head.
God, that looks good.
With the bat, yeah.
That is crazy.
Apparently, Ox was very nervous at that scene.
Oh, I would be. No matter how big you are, man. That's terrifying.
It's like fucking hell. Like, can you imagine them trying to do that now? There's no way.
No way.
Some dude's gonna go, yeah, just stick a pad on the back of my head and stick me with the fucking spiked bat. It's fine.
So I do love that the crowd are all cheering for Slag. But then once Snake does this, the whole place is like, Snake, Snake, Snake. And now they love Snake. Now, of course, Snake manages to grab a guy and start the tracker, doesn't he? During this fight. So Bob Hulks, they're about to like give up on Snake, and then they get this and they're like, oh, Snake's the only one who knows about this secret catch, so it must be Snake. And meanwhile, Brain stabs Romero when Romero's like, you're talking shit, Brain, this is rubbish. He manages to stab
him. I must admit, I feel not that I don't feel sorry for him. I just think it's a shame that he goes out the way he does. I'd like to Romero to have had a better death.
Even in death, he's quite creepy though.
Yes,
he still manages to be quite creepy.
Like, he does. Every one of his moves is like this amazing exaggeration. It's great. He's such a great character.
He's an amazing character. They escape with the president. They've worked out, or Brain's worked out, that if Snake came in and plans to leave, it must have been somewhere high, and then he thinks it through and he's like, well, it must be the trade centers. He's got to be on top of the trade center. That's the only place he could have realistically parked. So they head there with the president, and as the fight comes to an end with Snake and Slag, someone comes in and they shout like, the president's gone. Brain took him.
Off with the president,
and everyone leaves.
They all completely forget about Snake.
They're like, Snake. We like that guy now. He's cool.
Yeah.
So they all leave, and then Snake's kind of left there. And obviously, I guess Snake's realized that, I know where they're going. I know where they're going to go. So Snake also heads to the trade center.
Yeah. And
like I said, like an absolute badass, he just runs up the stairs.
Yeah, with the sort of the
with a limp.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. Like, wow. That's a lot of steps. But he finally gets to the top just in time to see the glider basically fall off the roof as they cut the thing. There's a whole gunfight going on up there, and
this is supposed to, this group.
It's one of the gangs, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Redskins. They basically cut the cable and chuck it over.
The glider, because the glider was basically hanging off the side anyway. So Snake manages to make the save, and they head back downstairs, and they find Cabby, don't they? And he gets to Snake takes the wheel of the cab, but no, sorry, it's that car. They get downstairs and they find the car, don't they? They go to get in the car, and there's a guy who presumably is, I don't know how long was he waiting in that car without an engine for them to try and open the bonnet.
It comes out of the yes.
It's like, dude, that was a big assumption that they were going to use that thing. So yeah, they can't start the car and they can't figure out why. So then they go to open the hood and there's this guy in there with a crossbow who just like kind of points it at them. And then we get the Duke saying, "We're going somewhere."
Yeah.
So they all run as fast as they can, and of course they find Cabby. Or Cabby finds them. Cabby's like, he's like questionable whose side he's on during this film, but he does keep turning up, so I'm assuming he's trying to help at times, but other times not.
Well, he's blatantly a coward because he runs away at one point where, you know, when they're trying to get to the Duke's place.
Yes, yeah.
He does a runner. But I do wonder who it's like. So he's a cabbie, right? He's got does he do business? I mean, I presume there must be.
Yeah, I don't know.
There must be a certain level of citizen that hires him, I guess.
I would assume so. I'm assuming so, but you would think to be a cab driver in New York in this movie, you would have to have balls of steel, and he's really cowardly, so I don't quite know. But yeah, so they find Cabby and Snake takes the wheel. And they head for the bridge. Cabby, obviously, as they're driving, Cabby says, "Hey, I got the tape right here," because they're like, "Well, we're screwed without the tape." And then Cabby's like, "Oh no, I got it. Here it is."
Yeah, that's it. Because the brain works it out that he worked out that because Romero had his hat, he knows that Cabby loves tapes.
Yeah,
that he would have swapped it.
Swapped it for the hat. That's right. Yeah.
For the hat.
So Cabby's. I love that. It's like this plot issue, and then suddenly Cabby's like, "No, I got it. Don't worry about it.
I got it here.
It's all good, man. Don't worry about it." So the president demands it back, the tape, but Snake takes it for insurance. He's like, "Nope, I'm keeping hold of this." So the Duke is chasing Snake and co. They're all chasing them in his Cadillac. And Snake and the others are going across the bridge, trying to follow the plan this guy once drew.
I love they're driving across this bridge like at speed.
Yep.
And brain is giving out directions, and it doesn't actually look like he's remotely following.
No.
The directions.
No.
It just looks like he's just driving.
Yeah. Yeah. And unsurprisingly, they hit a landmine, and it breaks the cab perfectly in half.
Yeah, perfectly
in half, right down the middle. Cabby dies.
Yeah, poor Cabby.
Poor Cabby. I love Ernest Borgnine. I fucking love Ernest Borgnine. And this is one of my favorite performances of his. Actually, I really love him as Cabby. He's another one with a very varied career when you look at the roles he played.
I mean, at the time I would have watched this, he would have been in bloody Airwolf. So
he's a very similar character actually in Airwolf.
That's true. Yeah.
To be fair, although he's a bit more courageous in Airwolf than he is in this, but similar personality wise anyway. I wonder if he got one job because of the other, presumably.
Probably, yeah.
So they start fleeing on foot, and they start having they have an argument, don't they? And then Brain, in the heat of the argument, steps on a landmine and blows up.
Well, he says, was it left? He's basically
he said, I said left or whatever.
Left, and he goes left and gets blown up.
Yeah. And this is where we see that Maggie does actually genuinely love him. She refuses to leave Brain's side. Snake says, look, he's gone. He's gone, Maggie. She won't have any of it. So Snake and the president obviously make off on foot. Maggie stays behind and starts shooting at the Duke's car. She basically does force him into crashing, but unfortunately he crashes into her, and kills her, and then makes off on foot after Snake and the president.
Apparently, in the test screening, what you know, the shot when you look, you get the shot of her stretched out with all the blood. That wasn't in the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was her like fate left a bit?
Yeah. Well, apparently. So I don't know whether this is true or not, but the so the car hits her, and then I think it just goes on.
Yeah.
And apparently, in the test screening, a young J.J. Abrahams said, "What happened to Maggie? Is she alive or is she dead?"
All right.
They then Carpenter, of course, who was married to Barbaro at the time, they shot that shot of her sprawled out on their driveway
in his backyard. I knew you were going to say that. That's such a Carpenter thing to do.
Yeah, so they shot that on his driveway.
Well, you can't tell. It's pretty seamless. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Duke is running after them on foot. Snake makes it to the wall, and the president's obviously taken up first. He's the president. Snake starts coming up, but the Duke attacks Snake. But then it's the president.
The president stops the winch, doesn't he? So
yeah,
Snake is sort of hanging in midair.
Yeah.
Well, not quite midair because he's against the wall, but he's hanging in the middle of the wall.
Mm-hmm. And then we get the Donald Pleasance being a complete badass, and he gets a submachine gun and he starts shooting the Duke repeatedly whilst shouting, "You are the Duke, you are number one."
Yeah.
So the Duke is dead, and Snake is lifted to safety, and of course,
yeah, and the Duke gets pretty shredded. He
is
shot down.
Yeah, I think weirdly, Isaac Hayes continued on to try and come back as the Duke in later years of his life, even though it's really obvious he died here. I guess maybe he wanted a prequel or something, but it's a bit odd. But and of course the explosives are stopped in Snake's neck within it's seconds, and everyone seems to be really chill about it. And Snake's like, "Can we hurry up?" And they're like, "Oh, give me a second, let me just." It's like, no, do it now. But with seconds to spare on his clock, it's done. He's saved, and the president is taken for some makeup to get ready for his speech. And Snake obviously approaches him, and the president kind of can't really be arsed, but he's like, "Oh, thanks, your country thanks you for your efforts." And Snake's like, a lot of people died trying to save your life. Just curious what you think about that. And the president is so half-hearted. He's just like, "Oh, wow, their country thanks them for their sacrifice or something," doesn't he?
Yeah.
Basically, he's like, the president who was, while he was helpless, he was this kind of humble, lovely man, has now immediately reverted back to being an asshole. Now that he's safe, he just doesn't give a toss about anyone. No. So Snake is pardoned, and he decides that he's not going to kill Hulk yet.
Yeah.
They have that conversation. It's like, "I thought you were going to kill me." He's like, not right now.
I'm too tired.
Tired now. Yeah, maybe later. Hulk,
and he offers him a job.
He does offer him a job doing top secret missions. But Snake is, he's not gonna do that. He refuses. Hulk, he says to Snake, doesn't he? He's like, "We make quite a team, don't we, Snake?" And of course Snake says the name's Pliskin. So now it's like, "No, you cannot call me Snake." And Snake, of course, walks off as the president starts to make his speech. Now, the president, I knew what was coming the first time I watched this movie, but you
can see it coming a mile off.
You can, because they play the song over and over again throughout.
But the thing is, I don't think it matters because it's so satisfying.
Oh, it's great! It's a great ending.
It's so satisfying.
I love it. So, of course, the president's doing the speech. He plays the tape, and it's whatever that song is, which I can hear in my mind.
Something boogie. I can't remember what it's.
And of course we cut, the president looks mortified. Although I kind of thought it was I was like, you could probably play this off. He's like, "Yeah, this is a thing of peace." It's like, "Yeah, some music, hey." The president looks absolutely mortified. You could tell he's like, "What do I do now? I'm screwed." And then we see Snake walking off, just ripping the tape apart as he goes. He throws it to the floor. Now, I always assumed that Snake approached the president and might have been willing to give him the other tape depending on his response.
I think so too. I think that's because he definitely he had you could see he had a purpose in asking him.
Yeah, because I guess he thought the president might have changed because of his experiences, but when he sees that he's still just that asshole, he's like, no, okay, fine. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, maybe, maybe if he would have been more, humble,
humble, yeah,
given it to him,
yeah. But yeah, so that was Escape from New York. I absolutely love this film. I think it's for me, it's my favorite Kurt Russell character. Jack Burton's are close, but for me, Snake, I think it was because I saw this first.
Yeah.
And it's such an iconic character. Obviously, Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series. Heavily,
well, that's it, isn't it? This movie fucking spawned 1,000 clones.
Oh, for sure.
You've got like Escape from the Bronx, like Italian movie. I think the Italians
it's
made
Bronx
about
Warriors, isn't it? Whatever it's called.
20 fucking movies, all based on this movie.
Yeah.
And you've got, I mean, you've even got things like Doomsday.
I love Doomsday.
I love Doomsday as well.
It's not a good movie, but I love it.
Rona Mitra, she's just playing a female snake, isn't she?
And she's fucking great at it too.
She is really good.
The thing I love about that movie is when it goes to the really weird, like, medieval bit where they're like, "Hey, we live in this castle, so we've all decided to do LARPing full time." Like, okay, that film's such a crazy film. I really love it though.
It's brilliant.
It's great fun.
And I think Rona Mitra got she never got the parts that she, because I think she's not the greatest of actresses, but I think she could have done.
I believed she was a badass in that movie.
Exactly, and I think she could have gone and done, had like the same sort of career as Mila Jovovich. A bit,
Yeah, I think she's more believable than Jovovich. To be honest,
she has done a lot more. She has done roles like that, but I think she could have had a bit of a slightly bigger one than that.
Yeah, I think Doomsday didn't do well, and it kind of sunk things for her a bit. But I like it.
You've got that other one with the
one in space. I can't think of the name of it.
Oh God!
Gerard Butler, isn't it?
It's
Is it Gerard Butler?
No, it's
I've never watched it. Guy Pearce.
It's actually right. It's a fun movie actually.
I've always meant to watch it, but never have.
It's so Escape from New York, and it's he goes in to save the president's daughter, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, they actually got sued for it, didn't they?
Yeah, they sued, and they won as well.
Yeah, Carpenter sued them.
And
rightly so. I mean, it is even from the trailer. I was like, okay, so it's basically Escape from New York.
Yeah.
And of course, they were planning Escape from Earth, so I wouldn't be surprised if that literally was the plot that they've just like lifted from somewhere, some script lying around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Escape from New York, I absolutely adore this movie. I think LA is awful.
Yeah.
But I will still watch it because of the character of Snake.
Yeah, completely. That is kind of the only reason you bloody watch it.
Yeah.
Well, that and the fact that it's actually got a good cast list.
It's great cast, yeah. But it does everything that this film does, but wrong.
Yeah.
Like the twist ending. The twist at the end of this, obviously you see it coming a mile away, but it's great. The twist in LA, you can see it coming a mile away. It's really obvious, but it's so over the top.
It's not satisfying at all.
It's so over the top and unsatisfying. Because in the end, he ends up sending off the EMP, doesn't he, at the end of that movie?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Lockout is that movie.
Lockout, well done. I was in the back of my head somewhere.
Just looked up trying to find it. Yeah, Lockout.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things as well about the set for the New York, that got repurposed for Blade Runner.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, that the city model
makes sense.
Is literally the model from that.
It's such a good model.
Retooled it. It's brilliant. It's huge as well. It was massive.
Yeah.
Brilliant bloody model.
Yeah, it really is.
And of course, the scene where they land the helicopter.
Yeah. In Central Park.
Yeah, which was actually in LA. They filmed that scene was in LA. The matte painting of New York in the background was done by James Cameron.
Was it really? Wow.
Yeah, which is fucking cool.
That is very cool.
Because I think he had problems. Carpenter had problems trying to find effects people.
Yeah.
And apparently after Star Wars and that, a lot of the effects people got a bit big for themselves.
Sure.
And they started being a bit like...
They were like, actually, all of these movies are only big because of the effects.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
So he had trouble trying to find...
I didn't know that.
Something. And so he went to... oh, Christ, what's his name? Cameron worked for him. That's how they got him. Oh, God. What's his bloody name? Did all the cheap movies. All the like, Battle Beyond the Stars and...
Oh, God.
Roger Corman.
Yes, thank you. Well done.
So he basically went to Roger Corman because of, I think it was Battle Beyond the Stars, and the effects work on that, and because they were cheap.
Yeah.
And so he used Roger Corman's people, and hence Cameron painting the background and stuff.
That's very cool. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I can't honestly recommend it enough. It's a very cool film. And like I said, it's one of the most iconic characters ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, it spawned so many imitators and so many, similar things. I mean, you even the things like with the poster, that fucking amazing poster.
Oh, it's such a good poster.
And again, that's not in the movie. But J.J. Abrams used that for Cloverfield.
Yes, yeah.
He loved that picture so much.
Just loved it that much, yeah.
He wanted that visual in Cloverfield.
It's such a striking visual, But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I love that it's a nonsense plot, but I love it. The whole we're gonna wall off Manhattan, like brilliant.
I mean, I think that's that's one of the weirdest and funniest things about the sequel. It's like, oh, so you did the same thing on the other side of the country.
The other side, yeah.
Okay.
They're like, oh, one wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, great movie, great cast. There's God, everyone in this movie is great. All of the performances. There's not a bad performance.
Bad performance at all. They're all fantastic, and they've all got little quirks and little things that were all brought by themselves.
Yeah, they're quite nuanced in places. I love Donald Pleasance as the president, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
He's
and again,
so...
like things that they come up with. I mean, he came up with when they find him the second time and they free him. The blonde wig that he's wearing. That Donald Pleasance put that on himself. He said, "Oh, I'll put this on to make it look like they're humiliating and stuff."
Yeah.
And the only one that apparently was a slight problem was Harry Dean Stanton, who one of the few things was with the words was Carpenter really wanted them to stick to the script properly, and apparently Stanton was terrible at ad-libbing. He kept sort of going off on little tangents, and I think he had to keep reining him in.
Right.
So I mean, it wasn't a bad thing. It was just one of those small annoyances, I think.
Yeah. But yes, an amazing movie, and definitely recommended if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Although by now we've just told you the entire plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, well worth a watch.
Of course, it's another movie that they keep talking about bloody
remaking.
reboots.
You can't remake this. It'll
Jared
be awful.
Butler, like you were saying earlier on, had been up for the remake itself.
I think that's why I thought he was in Lockout, because I know at some point there was a lot of talk of
he was going to be in the. They were going to hire him for a number of people have been put and they've even asked apparently Russell's son Wyatt, but he's like, no, there's no way I'm playing my dad's character. That would just be weird.
Yeah, that would be strange.
He completely shot them down. He's like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
I kind
it's like Sean Pertwee playing the doctor. I'd love him to, but at the same time,
as well.
I 100% understand why he doesn't want to.
Yeah,
because it's your dad's most iconic performance.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a tough act to follow, right? But yeah, so that was Escape from New York, and we will be back next week with a usual review fare.
We will.
I've seen a few, so by the time we get round to that, we will have seen loads. Because this show was delayed, so I think next time might be quite a long episode as we watched, all the things we've watched in between. But take care, everybody. Stay safe, and we will catch you next time.